Hello, and welcome to episode 116 of the Book Wars Pod. I'm Miranda, here with Chris and Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about Tarkin by James Luceno, chapters 16 through the end.
Yay.
Woo.
Wah, wah, wah.
Listen, if it doesn't work, you can't get mad at me.
Someone's
Is
phone's
that
not
true?
on silent.
That was me.
Someone's
That's my bad.
phone's not on silent.
I forgot to move it off the table before.
You have to make it
starting.
a moon, Miranda.
I don't have to. I can put it on the couch and it's fine. I just got a text telling me.
Some people like to play mindless games, so they put it on the moon.
Some pickup orders that were unavailable, which I assume is going to be
Your toilet paper.
the toilet paper. Oh no, it's potatoes.
Wow, what a twist.
That is a big twist.
I'll take it though.
How are the potatoes going to poop?
Oh, and the spinach.
Oh.
I don't want 10 ounces of spinach. This is Book Wars Pod. We are literally talking about Star Wars
and groceries.
Drinking.
Yeah, I'm going to start a new segment as if we didn't have enough nonsense speaking in the beginning of this podcast. Let's name one exciting thing that happened this week. You go first, Chris.
I mean, I'm on my third tequila of the day, so that's pretty exciting.
That is exciting. How about you, Miranda?
I bought a cast iron pan.
Fuck yes. How big? Tell me all about it.
It's a 10-inch.
Ooh, that's a great size.
Love a 10-inch.
It is the correct size.
It's a great size. Listen.
I can actually lift it.
Well, listen. Don't shit on our 18-inch cast iron pan.
It's a 15-inch cast iron.
Whatever. However big it is, it's big. You know what it's great for? Cooking lots of like jambalaya. It's wonderful. So, whatever. And then we also have like an 8-inch one. It's fine. That's great. What have you been making? Have you made anything?
I made some steak in it.
Ooh, what kind of steak? What cut?
Nice.
So I did I had some leftover skirt steak from a couple weeks ago, and I was like, well, fuck, I need to use this, and so I made like a little steak and eggs one night this week.
Nice.
I'm gonna be making more stuff in it. I've got to make steak again this week. The meal was not chosen by me, but I'm excited for it.
Super.
Yeah.
This is all very vague. Someone is making you make steak, but okay.
Oh, no. We're doing a date night where we have the same meal. So I had to buy a steak.
Oh, that's very cute.
This is
I
cute.
know. It's
Okay,
adorable.
that's fine.
I will say one thing that has been exciting. I can't remember if I mentioned this on last week's episode, but I 100% drove like an hour and a half round trip into Denver to go to like the Jewish deli in Denver, which is like the closest Jewish deli, and got like a pound of pastrami and a pound of brisket. And then I made rye bread last week, and so I've just been eating sandwiches all week, and it's been fantastic.
That is great.
Amazing.
All of our things are food related. Mine's not food
I also
related.
got a Dutch oven, so
Fuck
I'm gonna like
yes.
start making bread.
Nice. Love it.
I think it's supposed to come tomorrow. I got an email that said they couldn't deliver my package today because like people always have issues delivering packages to my building, and especially on Sundays for some reason. So
Yay, everything's a disaster. My exciting thing of the week is I got a bidet. It's wonderful. Cool. Let's go around the circle again and do what are we drinking? We know Chris is drinking tequila. What kind of tequila are you drinking, Chris?
I am drinking, I've had it on the pod in the past. It's Arate Tequila Blanco.
Yum.
It is quite good. It's very citrusy, very light, just drinking it straight. It's delicious.
That is wonderful. Do you drink it like, it's just like room, sorry, this is a stupid bitch question. It's just like room temp, right?
It's not a stupid question. No, yeah. So for tequila, I will just drink it room temp. whiskey, I will also usually just drink at room temp because, like, I don't want to. I just don't like putting ice in it because it dilutes it too much.
Sure.
You should get whiskey stones.
Or shake it over ice.
I should shake it over ice. I've used whiskey stones, and they actually barely hold the cold and end up warming up the whiskey.
Sound like shit whiskey stones.
I mean, I think that's just the chemistry of how whiskey stones work.
I see. I've heard a lot of pros and cons about whiskey stones, so everybody
But yeah,
gets to do whatever they want.
something like gin or vodka I would probably have chilled, but I also don't really drink gin or vodka that often.
Got it. See, I really like chilled tequila, so if I was doing it straight, I would shake it over ice and then boop.
Very fair.
Into
very
a
fair.
glass. Cool. What? I'm assuming Miranda's drinking. Oh, you have to go get your groceries after this. Are you drinking?
I do. I'm having one little Kolsch.
Is it actually a tall boy Kolsch?
Yeah. It's 5% though, so I'm not.
I know. I'm not.
And I don't have to leave for another hour.
You're fine. I wasn't concerned you were drinking one Kolsch. I'm just laughing that you called it a little Kolsch, and I'm like, it's definitely a tall boy.
It's a tall boy. It's Das Beer from Heater Allen.
Oh.
Located in McMinnville,
Oh.
Oregon. Das Bier was brewed with Pilsner and Kolsch malts and hopped with Sterling and Hersbrucker. Enjoy this Kolsch-style ale. We hope it is reminiscent of the beer of Cologne.
Yay.
It's very tasty.
Cologne. I am drinking a Breakside Seeker Series Sugar Cube, which it says, ready, and here's the whole obnoxious thing that's on the website. A hazy pale brewed in collaboration with Crosby Hop Farms and KEX Brewing from Reykjavik for this year's Craft Brewers Conference in Denver. This beer got over 5 pounds per barrel of dry hops in 3 separate editions to maximize the biotransformation of non-aromatic glycosides into intense tropical terpenes. It combines the grist bill of popularity contest with the kettle hops for lunch break and the Strata/New Zealand combo that we use in the dry hop on Smash Bang. This dry hop is 7-to-2 ratio Strata to Racao. It's hop saturated with intense Southern Hemisphere character, some classic hop flavor from the Amarillo, and a soft mouthfeel from the water, TG, and Vienna, and wheat.
Sure.
5.6% ABV.
It tastes like beer.
And it's only 30 IBUs. You'd probably like this, Chris, but I haven't had this yet, so I'm going to take a big sip and see if I like it.
Real-time review on the pod.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that I don't know whether or not you would like this. It's a little bit too IPA. I don't know, it's really good though. It's really grapefruity. But yeah, they did these in collaboration. So there's a bunch of it's just called the Seeker IPA series. But yeah, they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they did 6 different of them. So I've had a few of them, and they're very good. Cool. Thanks for letting me read that obnoxious paragraph on the pod, but I wanted to do the beer justice since it's a special beer. It's very good. I continue to drink Brookside on the podcast because it's a mile from here and I could still go in there and get beer.
Yeah,
Cool.
now that Boulder just opened up on Friday, I wonder if breweries are going to
Ooh.
be selling beer again. I should check that out.
Oh, yeah. Well, ours have been doing takeout, whatever. However, the safety way. Cool. You guys want to talk about Star Wars and how there was a bunch of machinations and
Star Wars?
Stuff.
On my Star Wars podcast?
Star Wars on my Star Wars podcast? Yes.
Seems fake.
Fake. It's faking in space,
It
famously.
is both of those things. So yes, Star Wars. If it's okay with you guys, can we move this first point kind of down a bit? Because I think we'll end up there.
Sure.
Yes, let's do
All
it.
right. So, in the last episode, we talked a lot about, and I think the first episode as well, loyalty to the empire, why people are loyal, and is it because like they're loyal to the institution? Is it because they're like Tarkin? And they have these different relationships with the empire because of like their driving forces. But one relationship and like with the empire, and one big reason we see people betray the empire is because people are selfish bitches.
Yay.
And
Big if true.
I know it's a crazy thought, but that really comes out in this last section of the book, where we actually learn more about like who and what's driving our Teller and friends ship napping adventure. And
Man, I thought you were going to say ship yeeting. Anytime you
I
don't
think that'd
say
be ship yoinking.
Ship yoinking, excuse me. I'm very bad at conjugating that verb.
But you find out that Admiral Rankin is behind all of this shit, because he's like, I'm good at my job, let me do all these things, and like he thinks that he's been like shifted off to the side, and
Which
then
he has been in his
like,
defense.
100%, like he got fucked over. But then he kind of becomes like, well, the Empire, like, what the fuck, I've done all this, like the Empire owes me something surely, and if they're not gonna give it to me, then fuck them. I'm gonna talk to this turncoat Teller and like give him all this
#turncoat, #Teller.
free information so that they can just attack the Empire. Like, fuck you guys.
That is what happened. And also the Death Star is being built.
It
Sure
is.
That's a whole thing.
Kristen absolutely read this book. There is no question about it.
I actually did. Listen, he's laughing. I read all the books, technically speaking. But some of them I understand without asking questions, which I think was mostly this one, which I think is good.
Wild
Yeah.
times.
Because I have about a 5th grade reading level.
But yeah,
anyway,
no.
yes.
It's interesting because like this is obviously a conversation that we've had before, where self-interest.
What, that I can't read?
Yeah, well, yes, that we've had many times, but where self-interest of the people involved in the Empire interferes with good governance, so to speak. And
Quote
like,
unquote
corruption?
good
Quote,
government.
unquote, exactly.
Good governance? What?
And we talked a lot about it when we read Thrawn Treason, because treason, and Grand Admiral Savit, how was it pronounced, Kristen?
Savit.
Grand Admiral Savit. And so we talked a lot about that when we read that book, and we're kind of seeing the same thing here, of just the people who like didn't even bother waiting to put their scheme into place. Like, we're still relatively early in the Empire, and Vice Admiral Rancid is already pissed off.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Can I ask maybe a dumb question? Were you guys surprised at like who the rebels ended up being? Like, where
I
they
was
came
vaguely
from?
surprised that they didn't, and that knowing Lucino, I kind of, the first time I read this book, I expected it to relate to known Star Wars entities more, and it did not.
Cool. How about
Yeah.
you, Miranda?
I wasn't surprised. I think that kind of goes pretty hand in hand with the line of thinking that like people are mad at the Empire for whatever reason. And if that's because they like tried to kill everyone on this planet, maybe they're gonna go do something about it, because like we see a lot of that in Star Wars, and I think this is just kind of like the first of those instances that we see chronologically during the Empire.
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised. Not from like a smart place like Chris was, but I was like, I thought it was just going to be like people who hate the Empire in like this very cut and clean way, not people who necessarily got fucked over by them. I thought it was just going to be people who like have always hated the Empire or something. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the reveal. I liked how they were all ended up being tied together in ways that we haven't totally seen before. You know, this is one of the first pieces of media that's really like deep into this early time of the Empire. So I thought it was illuminating about like how the seeds of doubt can get planted and like where they started versus where we may have thought they started.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Cool, a point. I made a
No,
point.
you're 100% right. I think that it's the time period is interesting, and kind of going into our next point, the combo of like comparing time periods and comparing backgrounds of people. And Miranda, I assume this was your point because I didn't actually contribute to the outline this week.
Yes. Is
Which-
this the
which
one
point?
that I also just kind of covered? The Republic holdovers, you know? And I mean, I think if we want to do it like, so I think like we've covered, we have Republic holdovers. They're loyal to the institution. They've been around. They're like, well, fuck, I still have a job. You know, I can still do this. And like not think too much about how the Emperor is secretly a Sith Lord. There's the folks who are like, yes, we should be ruling the galaxy through fear. Kill everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think those kind of sprout into different directions. You know, you see Republic holdovers who are like, nah, fuck this. I can't. This is bad. The Empire is bad TM. And
famously, but
and so like they'll go and, you know, work within the system or outside of the system to like try to make things right. This is how we see like rebels popping up, and see people with like Teller falls into this category where he's like, nah, this is fucked up. Like I could still do this job, but what if I didn't?
yeah.
And tried to do something good for the galaxy.
Yes, or at least try to like do something that stops bad from continuing, bad from spreading. It's kind of like hard to do anything good for the galaxy at present moment at the beginning of the Empire, because it's just like, wow, this is a lot.
And also for Teller specifically, you know, we kind of find out near the end of the book that, well, they're just trying to delay the project.
Yeah.
You know, they're having the conversation, how far did we set it back? And even if it's 3 or 4 years, you know, that's 3 or 4 years that they can work with to, you know, move on to something that will be more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it relates back to the conversation we had last week about how do you fight an empire that is already so big and so omnipotent.
You
And
shoot at it. What?
basically, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting that this early into the empire, you already have a rebel group that is essentially like, our role is to die and hope that we slow them down. Like, it's not, you know, it's not trying to bring back the Republic. It's not, you know, your Mon Mothma idealists. And it's also not aiming to become a larger movement. It's aiming to give time for someone else to create a larger movement or several smaller movements. And it's interesting that kind of fatalism has already taken root within the opposition, so to speak.
Yeah, it was very like Rogue One vibes to me. Like it was very like, hey, none of us really meant to be here or something, but we all hate the Empire, but you can get out if you want, but no one's gonna get out because we're all just in this and we've ended up here and fuck the Empire.
And I do also like love this just sabotage that they're doing in this very fatalistic way, and that's something we see later too. It's like it's not super evident, throughout the book, and maybe to some of the Imperial folks who are trying to push back on this, but that is their goal. And it's, kind of a, not fantastical, but a very roundabout way of doing it. Like, you don't know their intentions based on them, like, flying around in this stolen ship and attacking Imperial assets. You're like, what the fuck are they doing? But then it comes out like, oh no, we're trying to delay this project that will kill literal worlds.
Whoops. Well, and they don't even know that then, right? They're
Yeah,
just
was
like,
gonna
the
say.
Empire.
They don't know what
the
it is.
Empire is funneling a shit fuck ton of assets, and this is like before Tarkin. Spoiler alert: this is before Tarkin gets put on the project, and then at the end of the book, Tarkin gets put on the project, and then nobody fucking knows about it because he's like, guess what? You're not allowed to go on vacation anymore, and I'm gonna kill all of you.
Yeah, I did appreciate when I first saw Rogue One, because I'd read this book in the past, the part where Tarkin is like, I'm going to be taking over this project that I used to run. And it's like, it's funny because Krennic sucks.
Krennic famously sucks. Lots of famouslys going on in this book. The Empire's famously bad. Krennic famously bad at his job.
Even though he's not even in this book, and yet we know that he's
know.
famously bad at his job. It's
Correct. I know. That's how bad he is at his job. And
Lower level Imperial bureaucrats famously bad at their jobs.
correct.
True.
Loved that scene.
Yeah.
The Emperor's like, so where did this video come from? And he was like, it came through the
It
holonet.
came from the thing. I got it from the person.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody bothers checking the from line on their emails.
Oh my god, I know.
No, it's like
this was
free
actually
money. Click this link.
I know. This was actually sent out as a phishing email test,
Yeah, right.
and you failed.
Just a very basic, like, literally the return address is epmeyer.org. Like, come on.
Yes.
It's not even spelled
Oh my
right,
God.
guys.
Oh, that's so good.
epmeyer.gov.
.emp.
Dot palp.
Palpatine's just like, okay, so we're gonna watch this now. I found it in the archives because you don't seem to have it anywhere. Do you see how this is wrong? Like scolding a high schooler when they like accidentally bring on 1,000 viruses to a computer in the computer lab.
Yo, high schooler, people at my fucking firm do that. Like, the fucking, like, do you see what you did wrong? Like, just, like, I hate that. I hate that. Just tell me.
Miranda, wasn't it at your old job where they were like, please stop streaming things. We can't
Oh,
we can't
no,
work.
They didn't realize that Netflix wasn't blocked. And we were having all of these issues with our bandwidth. And then they looked into it and they were like, so there's somebody who's been watching Netflix and streaming that on our Wi-Fi.
All day.
At a past job, I had an intern who, like, I walked past his desk and he was just, like, watching shit on Netflix. And I was like, it's weird that I have to tell you this, but we actually don't watch Netflix at our work. And he was like, oh. I was like, this
Sorry.
isn't...
We're not at home,
People.
so we're not supposed to be watching television.
Yeah.
Okay. No, did you know we're not
Like,
being
I know
paid
it's
to watch
DC, so we're
television?
not paid.
No?
Well,
Okay.
well, like, I know it's DC, so I don't even remember. I doubt we paid them because fucking
Fair.
DC. And it wasn't my call. But, like, still.
Yeah.
I
But, like,
know.
this
Although,
ISP
if any
agent-
unpaid interns are listening to this, please watch Netflix at your jobs.
Yeah, no, if you're unpaid, fuck shit up. Like, I don't care.
Yes. Yeah.
this ISP
their
agent, though, like, wasn't even watching Netflix. He was, like, yoinking stuff off of some, like, shady website.
He was just like
Motherfucker had his Pirate Bay open all day.
he was just like had Pirate Bay open and he was just eating a sandwich, and on like his third monitor he was like trying to quote unquote work and was like, yeah, okay, hey, check this out, this came in, looks legit, right? Okay, great. And then he just went back to eating his sandwich. That's all I'm saying. No, I've never done that.
No, definitely not the sandwich part.
I definitely don't have 3 monitors and one of them is for work. Anyway, let's not get fired during a pandemic. Cool. Miranda, you wrote The Empire Should Serve Me, which you talked about already, but I thought that
Yeah.
was worth repeating.
Yeah, a little bit. And so kind of like Teller is something that like the kind of guy that sprouted out of like being a holdover and not really believing in the Empire's cause.
Thank you for saying sprouted out, because I just pictured him as like a little plant.
I see his arms like
So
coming
cute.
up and
He's like in one of those little muffin tin planters. Sorry, keep going. I'm like losing my mind because it's like
just like a fucking oddish with the leaves
it's like-
growing out of his head.
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
Teller is secretly an Oddish.
It's very, very hot
His
here
name-
right
his
now,
name
and I'm
is
losing
Birch.
it.
His name is Birch,
Birch.
which is also like a weirdly bad Star Wars name
Listen,
from
all
somebody
of the
who's
first,
written a lot of Star Wars books.
all of the first names in this book were garbage.
They were not good.
I was like, who is this Italian guy? I wouldn't have thought he was Italian, but you gave him 2 Italian names. It was like, I'll find it, but anyway, keep going.
But so that's how we see, you know, there are folks who seem to be like loyal to the Empire, but you know, they kind of come out like Rancid apparently is his name. Star Wars has a lot of people. And he has the idea like, oh, well, I've like done all this for the Empire, like I deserve to benefit from this because I think the Empire just, and as it's set up, inherently encourages corruption. That's how the whole system works. And this
You
guy's
don't
trying to
say.
do it. And it's like, I should get some kind of, you know, acknowledgement in the form of jobs. And they're like, no. So then he goes, fuck you. And he's not doing this because he thinks the Empire's bad. He's not doing this because, you know, he wants to slow down a project. He's just fucking pissed at the Empire, like, you want to treat me like shit? I'm gonna get some dudes to attack you.
Yeah, not great. I mean, it's got to be hard to be a white man in an empire full of white men.
It really is.
It's really hard to stand out, make your mark, you know? But no, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting because we can compare Rancid to, obviously we already talked about Savit, but also someone like a Count Vidian or an Every Chalice who like served the Empire and served it arguably very well. But at the end of the day, it was more just because it like kind of fulfilled their own brand of crazy. Like Count Vidian just like really like was on a power trip essentially, and that is why he liked to serve the Empire. He didn't actually care about the Empire. Like he didn't care about the Empire's interests. That's why he was willing to blow up Cinda, even though it would like destroy a massive resource deposit.
And then that governor lady just loved spice and not leaving her house.
Oh
we all?
yeah,
What was her
that,
name?
that was fuck, on Ryloth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see? I
in-
remember parts of books I've read.
Yeah, that was in why can't I remember?
Lesbian
Lords
whose
of the
wife
Sith.
they fridged.
Yes, exactly. Lords
Yes.
of the Sith.
Yes, the empire whose
Moff
wife
Morse.
died. Yeah, Morse.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and
Nice.
she was basically just in it for like literally the pleasure of it. And Chalice was like, I'm good at it, so I'm going to do it. And then the Empire wouldn't let me do it anymore, so I'm going to go do it for the rebels because at the end of the day, the doing it is what I care about.
Yep. So true. Nice. Okay. Shall we move on to Tarkin is smart?
TM.
A sub point.
S.M. Marty.
S.M. Marty. Yes.
Yeah. Tarkin's really smart, guys.
He's a smart boy. I said
is,
he's
but
like
he's-
Thrawn, but he needs to use a lot more paper.
It's funny because this book is very Thrawn for dummies.
Yeah.
Like Thrawn
I mean-
wouldn't have made it. Like Thrawn, this book would have been over in 100 pages if it were Thrawn. Thrawn would never have allowed them to steal the ship, and then he would have like seen a fucking like breadcrumb, like literal breadcrumb, not like metaphorical breadcrumb, a literal crumb from a snack somebody ate on
Someone's been eating a
Mercana,
sandwich here.
and
I
it's
know.
like this sandwich was commonly eaten on Antar 4, and like yeah, like Thrawn would have figured this out a lot earlier, but it does show that like Tarkin he's able to hold his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when he was kind of going through the motions of like connecting all the dots at the end. I was losing my mind. Like he's like, oh well, if this person's involved, then how are they flying this? Oh well, there's this other guy who worked at this base. Like he's in it too. Let's throw them all in there.
I know, it was really funny. I was like, cool. This is why I didn't have to ask any questions about this book because they literally laid out who all of the players were.
Yeah, there was literally a "this is what's happening" chapter. There's no question.
Which
You
is
love to
fine
see
with
it.
me. I'm fine with a "this is what's happening" chapter, so that I don't have to come on my own fucking podcast and ask my co-host, "What the fuck happened in this book? I didn't get it." I'm bad at reading. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. That was cool though. That was funny to like see Tarkin's process as compared to Thrawn's, cuz Thrawn's is like not out in the open at all. I mean, and Tarkin's wasn't either. We just happened to be looking in on his thing where he's at the holo projector board thing and he's moving shit around and he's making notes to himself and like putting basically space red string all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love that Tarkin has a conspiracy board.
Yeah, it's really good.
But I think if we're gonna talk about Thrawn a bit, like in this way, I think they're kind of similar.
Please talk about Thrawn
because
always.
I think the explanation, like it was just a look into his head, which like we don't necessarily get in Thrawn books, but like they could have just said like, oh, he figured it out, and we'd be like, okay. But what's really evident in this book too, and we do get the reasoning for it, but Tarkin is also very intuitive, and he is really good at anticipating what his enemies are gonna do next. Like, I lost my damn mind when someone fell into his little trap back on Iriadu, and it was Teller.
Well, yeah.
And like then it apparently like Thrawn had like space texted his uncle to be like, yo, this bitch is about to come follow me in a couple weeks. Can you like dig up all those holes again for me?
Yes,
that
that
I
was
dug
very
up
good.
30 fucking years ago.
The guy with the J name.
Jova.
Jova,
Great. Yes.
which also sounds like a Hutt's name, honestly.
Correct.
If we're being honest, just a rare
Jabba's little
missteps
brother.
on naming in this book from James Lucino. IMO.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Agree. I can't find maybe it's Maddie's first name. Do we know Maddie's first name?
I think it's Antonio.
Yeah, okay, that must be it, because it's Antonio Motti, and I'm like, that's just an Italian person's name.
Right?
That is not a Star Wars. There is no Space Europe, Chris. Anyway.
Well, there's a space Finland.
There isn't
Yeah.
even a real Finland.
Nope.
Also correct.
Does Finland exist? Please reply to us on Twitter.
That's
to say?
putting that as a topic for the wrap up. Does Finland exist?
Man, it is so hot in my house. I am losing my mind.
Man, I wish I was there
Great.
because my sourdough starter needs to rise.
Yeah. Oh, this is a hot bread tip. I think like what Quinn has been doing when he's trying to get his stuff to rise is he puts it in the oven, like off. But he puts like a boiling, like a pre-boiled pot of water that's just like hot on the stove above the oven.
Interesting.
So I don't really understand because like I'm not part of this project. But I just walked in there the other day and I was like, what is this random ass pot of fucking water on the off stove? So I think that might have something to do with it. It is making it more humid in our house, which I do hate, but it is also fine because I get bread out of it.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
I will ask him. And I just ordered him from Pals, hey, support your local places. I just ordered him like the salt, flour, water, yeast, or whatever the
Oh my
fuck that
god,
book is called.
it's the best book,
Yeah.
Kristen.
So
It's
that
the
you
best
know
book.
that's like Ken's Artisan Bakery.
Yeah, I know.
is
He's
here,
from Portland, right?
Yeah.
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 I
so-
actually, when we visit you, I want to go just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to gawk at it.
Well, and it's Ken's Artisan Pizza also.
Yeah, I
So he
haven't
has
made his
his own
pizza dough yet,
pizza.
but no, that's where I cook all my bread.
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of, that
That's
book,
that's
so.
what I thought. So it's obviously not in that book because Quinn doesn't have it yet. But I just ordered it for him because we were having a yeast shortage here, and I think it goes into like how you would make your own yeast in that book.
It
if you
does.
wanted
It
to.
goes into cultivating a starter.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been our bread aside, but
just
I'll
eat the
ask him
bread.
what he does, Chris.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'll-
usually, like in general, my house is fine to cultivate a starter. It's just that I fed mine this morning, and I'm gonna put up some bread tonight, and it hasn't risen. Just specifically today, it hasn't risen the way I wanted it to, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, so this is like for your. So yeah, this isn't for the starter. This is like when you're trying to get the rise out of the bread, I
For
think.
like a foolproof.
Yeah. I don't understand anything about bread baking, but I did see a pot of water on our stove. Anyway, we can talk about this off pod.
I eat the bread from The Force Awakens.
Yay!
That's my yeast trick.
Blue
The weird
bread.
water
blue
muffins.
bread. Love water muffins.
Yeah.
What are the like muffin papers? Do they have a name? Those papers that
they're
go
called-
around muffin.
Muffin cups.
They're called muffin wrappers or muffin papers.
Oh, okay,
Those
cool.
bitches.
Yeah. Anyway, I was getting bitched at, not about, like not at me, but I was like, I can't find muffin papers anywhere, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know what they're called. Cool. Good bread asides.
Everyone had fun.
Everyone.
Except for the fins.
Twist. That's what it always is.
Cool. How much does Palpatine know, really?
Like, you have to assume it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Because, like, we see how smart Tarkin is. We see how smart Thrawn is. But, like, Palpatine's really the one playing chess here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only one close to that is Thrawn.
Thrawn.
I don't think Tarkin. I mean, and hey, if you want to listen to any of our Thrawn episodes, we've covered all of the Thrawn books, right, Chris?
We have, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
As soon as they come out, I'm like, please, Blue Boy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like there is that aside with Palpatine where he's talking about how like he doesn't have like actual clairvoyance yet, and that's part of what he wants to keep delving into the dark side for. So we're not like full on Return of the Jedi, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen situation,
Right.
but he's also not dumb. Like he got to the point he's at. He already played the long game for 20 years to get an empire, and now he knows when something is wrong, and he generally knows who is doing something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that for like really the first time in a real spoon-fed way in this book, where he's like, yeah, this bitch doesn't know what's going on. It's fine. Like, the dark side is not swirling around him. And then he like asks the person he knows is an idiot eating the sandwich, and he's like, it's this fucker. I see his dark side sandwich.
No, it's great. He's like, I'm going to look into the dark side, and the dark side says, dumbass, smart but not paying attention, Tarkin, traitor.
Correct. Yeah, and this is why Miranda asked to move that point earlier, because this segues very well into what Palpatine's ultimate goal is.
And can I make one more point?
Yeah.
on that?
No, I was just gonna say, Chris talked a little bit about like him talking about the dark side, and I put that. We'll talk about that a little bit more probably in the wrap, but also probably a little bit more in a bit here. But yeah, sorry, Miranda, go ahead.
Cool. So like, like Chris said, Palpatine doesn't know everything at this point. He knows a lot. He can't see, the specifics. But in general, he's like, yeah, it's this, but you fucked up. Like, this is going on. And then, I think he kind of has this aura about him where everyone just believes already that he knows everything. Because Tarkin, when they're kind of reporting back to the Emperor after, solving all of that, he's like, was this bitch testing us?
And he's like,
Was he
lol,
just-
maybe
Was
I
he just
was,
putting us
maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Tense fingers.
through these mental exercises? And it's like, who's to fucking say? But, like, I think that's also just kind of indicative of how he is perceived. Like, I feel like at the beginning of the Empire, like at the end of the Clone Wars and the end of Revenge of the Sith, you're like, well, that's weird. The senator from Naboo just took over and is probably a Sith Lord. That's different, but we're going to go with it. And then we're 5 years into the Empire, and it's like, okay, this fucker knows everything, and we're terrified of him.
Yes, and this is the in-between times, which is great. Yeah. Strangely, the senator from Naboo has all of this weird Sith shit in his chamber. We don't know what it could mean. I don't think he's a Sith, though. He just likes the art.
Some
like-
people are just really
Yeah,
into
some people are just really into
Sith
art.
artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
He's a collector.
He's a collector, and I love how like that gets a shout out in this book. It's like, I see in this Sith temple that you've built on Coruscant that you converted from a Jedi temple since it was actually a Sith temple. There's a dark black hole underneath of it. I see that you have some of your like fun Sith artifacts here. And Palpatine's like, yes, I do.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about this last week, but I just love that Tarkin is like just like doing the math in his head. He's like, yeah, this dude's definitely a Sith. But hey, man, I'm not here to judge people's lifestyles. Like,
I know.
love
He's
is love. If you love the
This-
dark side.
I know, that was my point. He loves the dark side so much. Yeah, he's like, well, love is love. This dude's definitely a Sith, and like that means Vader's probably also a Sith, but also he's Anakin Skywalker. So, but nobody. Listen, just
Life
because
is a
I
rich
know
tapestry.
that doesn't. Yeah, it's a very rich tapestry, and I'm the first Grand Moff. So, am I gonna say anything? Not really.
Yeah, also, shout out to, like, a throwaway reference to Tarkin's lovers.
Yes,
Yo,
Tarkin
right?
is gay.
Folks!
Like,
like-
thank God. And by Tarkin's lovers, we obviously mean Krennic.
Yeah. Oh God. They're God. Stop. No. Now I can't. Now.
Just lots of angry hate sex.
Well, yeah. It's not. Is it really angry hate sex if it's just like one person calling the other person stupid over and over again?
I don't know. Ask Kylux fans.
So true.
I say that with the utmost respect, by the way. That was not a dig.
I know. Bless
No,
Kylux
no.
fans.
We love it.
That's actually one of the few OTPs we stand on this podcast.
So true. So true. But no,
Oh,
it is
God.
great because I actually rewatched Rogue One this week because I was in a
Oh.
Rogue One mood, and like the scene where like
Sorry to hear that, but keep
Yeah.
going.
I was deeply depressed, and so I watched Rogue One. But like the scene where like they destroy Jeddah and Tarkin takes control of the Death Star, and like Krennic is all pissed about it. It's just like the sexual tension is just so incredibly palpable. Just like every other officer in that room is like, all right, there are two people in this room with hard-ons, and both of them are arguing with each other right now.
It's amazing.
It's foreplay.
Instead of calling things palpable, can we just start calling them Palpatine, but like act like we didn't say that?
Yeah. Yes. And by can we do this, you mean in normal conversation, not
Oh.
just on this podcast?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, this podcast is garbage and no one listens to it. And no
Just
one
like
should, but
you're like talking to somebody who knows nothing about Star Wars, and you're just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The tension is just Palpatine right now.
Yes. Yes. That is exactly what I mean. Woo!
So, Palpatine
Speaking of tension,
loves the dark side. Doesn't
does.
love governance because, like, why the fuck would you bother yourself with that? Let other people do all the work and then yell at them because they're useless.
Also build your own small army universe or whatever that means. He's like, I need to cultivate my own universe. And I'm like, okay, I guess have a bunch of Force babies, which
He doesn't not do it.
ends up happening if we take The Last Jedi as canon.
It is interesting.
Not The Last
too.
Jedi, sorry. What's the movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
Thank you. The one that I haven't seen more than 17 times.
It is interesting, though, to read this after Rise of Skywalker. And, like, while I am very much a proponent that, like, generally storylines are created way before the royal you thinks they are, because, like, the development lead time is so long, we do know that this one wasn't, that Rise of Skywalker wasn't, because, like, that was the whole thing. Like, they fired, what's his face? Trevorrow, thank you, Kate. And, like, JJ had to come on, and that was, like, basically there was a 2-year timeline for developing that movie, and this Tarkin came out before that. But it is interesting to go back and read this book, because it really does dovetail very well with Rise of Skywalker. For all that we complained in our bonus episodes about Rise of Skywalker, that it kind of, like, shits on the canon, the book canon specifically, it does dovetail very well with this one and, like, Palpatine's general goals.
Listen, the book podcast is allowed to get angry when the creators of Star Wars, who said they wanted to create a rich universe across multimedia, shits on the book canon.
Yep.
Anyway.
But enough about the Mandalorian.
Leia was a Jedi the whole time, Chris.
Fuck you.
Anyway, that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast
that we've already ranted about for like 3 hours.
We could do it again, but we're not going to today. Cool. I think that brings us to the end here. Unless any of you have any questions for me.
There's some more points on the...
Yeah, there's some more palp stuff.
Oh. Reading is hard.
But also fundamental.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
what else is on here that we didn't cover?
This book especially, I think we see it a bit in Thrawn and in some other books in the canon. But in this one particularly, we see him pitting, like, just chess pieces against each other and, like, finding ways to stir the pot. And, like, he probably knows the general outcome. Like, he may not be able to see the future exactly, but he has an idea of, like, who's going to be successful in whatever shit. Like, he knows Tarkin's going to be right. He's going to throw Tarkin and Vader together, be like... You guys used to be friends, not really. Go chase the ship around the galaxy.
Reintroduce yourselves as workplace proximity acquaintances.
And please don't bring up that you actually know each other from something else, because if you do that, then I'll have to murder you.
And you would hate to lose your first Grand Moff.
You'd hate to.
But it's interesting, and we can talk more about this next week, because I know that we have a Vader discussion on tap for our wrap-up. But it is interesting because, like, by putting them together, you would think that he knows that they are, like, Tarkin is going to realize who Vader is, because Tarkin's not an idiot. And
See,
so,
but
like,
I think he's doing that, and maybe this is the point you're about to make, and sorry, I just make so few points on this podcast.
No, do it.
I needed to interrupt you. I think he's doing it on purpose to see if Tarkin says anything.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. I completely agree with that. Like, I think it is a test of his
Chris.
own. Look at us. Who would have thought? But no, I do. I think it's a test, A, to see, like, if Tarkin will say anything, and B, to see how much it freaks Vader out. Because obviously we know that Vader has major issues with people realizing that he's Anakin.
Remember when Vader listened during a book for the first time when Tarkin was telling him the Carrion Spike story? Tarkin's like, well, me and Vader haven't actually talked for more than 4 words and heavy breathing. But
yeah, you and the
I
rest
guess
of the galaxy,
he's listening.
pal.
And
So
he's
that's
like,
weird.
well, I'm going to tell this whole 1,000-word story about the Carrion Spike since he asked, and he won't let me stop talking. And if I stop talking, I'm worried he'll kill me.
Basically, though.
Cool.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, this can get into a circular argument really quickly. But so, like, you know, the Emperor knows that Tarkin knows. But I don't think that the Emperor thinks Tarkin is going to say anything. Because, like, Tarkin knows his place. He's worked his way up to that place. He's been very resourceful. And, you know, within the Empire, like, other than Vader, like, Tarkin is right up there. You know, I think the last chapter starts up with, so this is the new triumvirate that we have. It's the three of them. They're in charge of all of this. But I love the idea of, like, the Emperor doing it just to make both of them go crazy. Because Tarkin's like, this is Anakin? This is Anakin Skywalker.
He's such a dramatic bitch.
And Vader's like...
That's exactly what happens. That is what he do. What was the point? Oh my god, I'm forgetting now. But there's something like Vader like makes a noise, and the way Luceno like describes it is like he's trying to like approximate this thing that like normal people would make noise about. And it's like he can't do it because he's fucking Darth Vader and he doesn't have like normal, or he doesn't have, you know, his face anymore, etc. It's hard to be Darth Vader.
Listen, a face is generally considered to be a fairly essential body part.
Listen, don't tell him that. He would not be happy about it.
He would super force choke you.
Yeah. Yep. God damn it. I hate it when I remember very specific funny things about the book and then I can't remember where they are. So, because I like hate quoting them wrong. But anyway, that's the gist of what happened. It was like Vader grunted, or Vader like made the approximation of a human grunt when someone like says something fucking stupid. Which like
so real.
Same. I also approximate a human grunt when I'm trying to actually make a human grunt. Cool. Please don't make me say human grunt again and take us out, Chris.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for episode 116 of the Book Wars Pod, complete with human grunts and all.
What the fuck?
Oh my God, amazing.
Don't drag me. It's James Luceno. It's in the book. This is actually in the book somewhere. I read it.
She's not listening because she's not plugged in, and I'm not telling her you said any of that. It's entirely Kristen's fault.
I hate you.
Our next episode, we're going to be wrapping up Tarkin by James Luceno. Please send us your questions. Hit us up on Twitter. If you're in the Patreon Slack, hit us up there. Email them to us. We want to know what you think of this book and what questions you have. In the meantime, our next book, if you want to go ahead and order it from your local indie bookstore, is going to be Alphabet Squadron by Alexander Freed. We're very excited about this. Kate's going to be back. Kate's semester is over. She can read again.
Yay! I don't actually know how to read, guys.
It's okay, neither does Kristen.
It's the whole bit.
Kate, you're really not supposed to like show behind the curtain of the podcast there.
I had tequila.
That's true. Kate also had tequila. In the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at BookWarsPod, bookwarspod@gmail.com if you want to email us. And rate, review, and subscribe to both us and the Toshu Station Radio megafeed. Particularly going into Alphabet Squadron, I know that the Star Wars Show recently did their own book club of Alphabet Squadron and talked to Alexander Freed, among others. So people who recently read that may be interested to learn about the Book Wars Pod and our discussion as well. Best way for them to find the show is if you rate, review, and subscribe on the Apple Podcast store, on Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. If you have the means, please donate to the Tasha Station Radio Patreon and give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Helps us cover our hosting and production costs and prepare to do some merch in the wake of what is increasingly looking like a canceled Star Wars celebration. And you'll get pictures of Porkchop, Orca, and Jasper, which is the only reason, really, to follow us on any channel. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe B. Terra Design. I am Chris, for Miranda and Kristen and Kate shouting from the background.
What's up?
Thank you so much for listening to the Book Wars Pod. and we'll talk to you next week.
And we're really sorry about the podcast.
Just about everything.
We're sorry.